Have you ever noticed something strange about isekai anime? No matter how wild the premise gets. Truck accidents, vending machine reincarnations, or even slime rebirths, there's one thing that never changes. You always wake up in a medieval world. Rustic villages, castle walls, guild halls, magic scrolls, and sword fights. It's like every isekai is allergic to modern world, but why? With the infinite potential of parallel worlds, why does every other world look like a medieval Europe cosplay with Japanese subtitles? Is it laziness? Tradition? A secret industry formula no one's talking about. Today, we're going to explore the top 4 real reasons why the isekai genre is so obsessed with knights, kingdoms, and kingdoms being destroyed by demon lords. You might think you know the answer, but trust me, there's more to this than just Game of Thrones made it popular. We're diving deep into Japanese history, the psychology of escapism, the game mechanics hiding in plain sight, and the economics of anime storytelling. To understand why isekai worlds are stuck in the Middle Ages, we have to look inward, at Japan itself. Think of Japan's own medieval history. In Japan, the Edo period ended less than 200 years ago. The Bushido mindset, hierarchical systems, and traditional rural life are still alive. Now imagine being a modern Japanese viewer, stuck in rigid school systems or soul-crushing office culture. You open an anime and suddenly, you're free. You're in a fantasy world where your worth doesn't come from test scores or overtime hours, but from your strength, honor, or the legendary sword you just pulled from a stone. Medieval worlds feel comforting because they echo Japan's own feudal past, but with the chains removed. No taxes, no famine, just magic, glory, and the power to rewrite your destiny. That's why you rarely see isekai protagonists reborn in futuristic cyberpunk cities. Those don't tap into cultural memory. They don't feel natural. Even the architecture in isekai anime often mirrors rural Japan more than medieval Europe. It's not about copying Europe, it's about rewriting feudal Japan through a magical lens, making the past feel alive, heroic, and most importantly, escapable. Most isekai are mass-produced. Every anime season brings a flood of new titles. And with limited budgets and tight deadlines, studios need something quick, familiar, and reliable. Enter the medieval fantasy setting. It's cheap, it's safe, and it comes with a built-in rulebook. You don't need to invent new technology, complex politics, or even original fashion. Just grab your generic fantasy template, toss in a guild, a few monsters, and a reincarnated hero, and you're good to go. Writers use it as a narrative shortcut. They don't have to explain what a magic crystal is, or why the king is corrupt. The audience already knows. These tropes are shared cultural knowledge, and that saves writing time, voice, acting time, and animation effort. And it's not just anime. Light novels, which are often the blueprints for isekai, are churned out by the dozen. Authors write dozens of chapters per month, usually following formulas that are proven to sell. Medieval fantasy is the fastest track to getting published, adapted, and monetized. Merch, games, spin-offs. Medieval fantasy settings are flexible and easy to market. You can drop the same character into a visual novel, a gacha game, or even a chibi crossover, and it still fits like a glove. It's not that creators lack imagination, it's that the system rewards efficiency over originality. Want to pitch a story where a guy reincarnates into a sword? Done. A vending machine? Done. As long as the world is vaguely medieval and follows the rules of the genre, you've got a shot. Ironically, in trying to create new worlds, many creators just end up making the same one over and over and over again. And yet, it keeps working. Because that world taps into something deeper, something emotional. Most isekai anime feel like someone's fantasy RPG save file came to life, and that's not a coincidence. From Dragon Quest to Final Fantasy, JRPGs have shaped the imaginations of entire generations in Japan. These games built entire worlds with magic systems, job classes, dungeons, guilds, item drops, and good old XP grinding. And when the isekai genre exploded in the 2000s, anime creators didn't just borrow from fantasy. They copied the exact structure of the games they grew up playing. So when an average high school student gets hit by a truck and wakes up in another world, of course, the first thing he checks is his stats screen. It's not just for laughs. It's built into the narrative logic. These mechanics make the story easier to write and even easier to understand. You don't have to explain the economy, the government, or why monsters just happen to live outside every town. The world works because the audience already knows how it's supposed to work, like an RPG. Level up, kill slime, repeat. This familiarity is powerful. It makes the viewer feel smart, like they're already insiders, and it removes friction. You don't need 30 minutes of world building when a guild board and a mana bar tell the entire story. It also creates satisfying power curves. Characters start weak, gather loot, and evolve, just like a player would. The rules of the world are gamified, which makes victories feel earned and defeats more explainable. Medieval settings enhance this, because the fantasy RPG genre itself is built on medieval tropes: swords, castles, inns, dragons. They're the visual language of games and the expectations of players. Deviating from that template? Risky, because it means more explanation. And when you're fighting for attention in a crowded season, that's a luxury few creators can afford. So, why is every isekai medieval? Because it's more than a trend. It's a formula built on nostalgia, game logic, storytelling shortcuts, and the fantasy of rising above it all. These worlds feel familiar, they feel fair, and most of all, they feel like somewhere we can finally matter. We don't keep going back because we're out of ideas. We go back because the dream still works. And maybe that's enough. If you enjoyed this breakdown, give the video a like, hit subscribe, and tell us in the comments, what's your ideal isekai world?